Hello, everybody. This is JP from ReneVerse, Head of Marketing. I'm calling from the ReneVerse main account because we had a couple of technical issues getting the space started. But I'm really happy, even though we created a new one, to see everyone here. So many people already have joined. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So just a really quick intro. As I said, JP, head of marketing here at ReneVerse. We are a Web3 enabled, non-intrusive in-game ad solution that brings ads into the playable environment of games alongside in-game product placements. And we're joined, thanks to Exco for helping us out with all the issues ahead of time. And we have all of our speakers here. So I just want to go around and let everyone introduce themselves. Let's start with Call of the Void. Good to see you again, my man.
Thank you. And it's always the way that I get called on just as I put my phone down to do something else. And I know that X has been rugging and causing all of the crazy technical issues. It's really funny when you join the space and then half the people are actually talking. You see them as listeners. And it seems like it's just a random thing when you join the space. The bottom four speakers are always listeners for some reason. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes you get a space where you can't comment. Anyway, I always comment. I'm Matt, behind the account Call of the Void. I am the CEO and co-founder of Mystic Games. Our first game, Call of the Void, is out now on Android and iOS. If you enjoy top-down shooters, you'll love this one. As it goes, we're the favorite DGen game to play with one hand on the toilet. Make of that what you will. And we have our Genesis Mint Void Hearts coming out later on Sphere on IMX. So get up there and mint a Void Heart. That's me.
I love to hear it, man. Love the intro. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. I'll kick it off to Myth. Who do we have from Myth today?
Afternoon, folks. It's Paul from the Myth team, otherwise known as OFID. It's my online moniker, One Fat Irish Dad. So yes, good to be here. We are a Web3 gaming and IP. I don't know the next word to describe what you would say for IP, but basically we deal with bringing various fantasy, horror and science fiction related IP into Web3. And we're also a very fancy, about to be hit stage 3 of beta launch of our NFT marketplace. So yeah, and we're currently based in Athens. I think anybody who's listened to me before, I'm always complaining of the heat here. And then somebody once told me that back home in Ireland it was about 11 degrees Celsius. So I said, no, I'm not going to complain that much. So it's very good here, to be here and to see some familiar faces like Call of the Void and FOF, etc. And, let's have a good hour. Let's make it all worthwhile.
100% on the same page here. And I'll try my best as host to make it a fun time for everyone here as well. So everyone, listen up. We're going to have a good time. Just chill out, talk a little bit about in-game economies and have a great time. Let's kick it off to Puffverse.
GM guys, this is Miko representing Puffverse, a Web3 gaming and metaverse project that's based on Ronin. So you can already play the PuffGo game by downloading it on Google Play and Apple App Store. It's a game that takes inspiration from Fall Guys, so it's a cute cash.
Hello, everybody. This is JP from ReneVerse, Head of Marketing. I'm calling from the ReneVerse main account because we had a couple of technical issues getting the space started. But I'm really happy, even though we created a new one, to see everyone here. So many people already have joined. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So just a really quick intro. As I said, JP, head of marketing here at ReneVerse. We are a Web3 enabled, non-intrusive in-game ad solution that brings ads into the playable environment of games alongside in-game product placements. And we're joined, thanks to Exco for helping us out with all the issues ahead of time. And we have all of our speakers here. So I just want to go around and let everyone introduce themselves. Let's start with Call of the Void. Good to see you again, my man.
Thank you. And it's always the way that I get called on just as I put my phone down to do something else. And I know that X has been rugging and causing all of the crazy technical issues. It's really funny when you join the space and then half the people are actually talking. You see them as listeners. And it seems like it's just a random thing when you join the space. The bottom four speakers are always listeners for some reason. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes you get a space where you can't comment. Anyway, I always comment. I'm Matt, behind the account Call of the Void. I am the CEO and co-founder of Mystic Games. Our first game, Call of the Void, is out now on Android and iOS. If you enjoy top-down shooters, you'll love this one. As it goes, we're the favorite DGen game to play with one hand on the toilet. Make of that what you will. And we have our Genesis Mint Void Hearts coming out later on Sphere on IMX. So get up there and mint a Void Heart. That's me.
I love to hear it, man. Love the intro. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. I'll kick it off to Myth. Who do we have from Myth today?
Afternoon, folks. It's Paul from the Myth team, otherwise known as OFID. It's my online moniker, One Fat Irish Dad. So yes, good to be here. We are a Web3 gaming and IP. I don't know the next word to describe what you would say for IP, but basically we deal with bringing various fantasy, horror and science fiction related IP into Web3. And we're also a very fancy, about to be hit stage 3 of beta launch of our NFT marketplace. So yeah, and currently based in Athens. I think anybody who's listened to me before, I'm always complaining of the heat here. And then somebody once told me that back home in Ireland it was about 11 degrees Celsius. So I said, no, I'm not going to complain that much. So it's very good here, to be here and to see some familiar faces like Call of the Void and FOF, etc. And let's have a good hour. Let's make it all worthwhile.
100% on the same page here. And I'll try my best as host to make it a fun time for everyone here as well. So everyone, listen up. We're going to have a good time. Just chill out, talk a little bit about in-game economies and have a great time. Let's kick it off to Puffverse.
GM guys, this is Miko representing Puffverse, a Web3 gaming and metaverse project that's based on Ronin. So you can already play the PuffGo game by downloading it on Google Play and Apple App Store. It's a game that takes inspiration from Fall Guys. So it's a cute, casual game that you can play mobile with your friends, but it also has a competitive element to it because of play to earn and other incentive systems. We're going to launch our Puff token later this year. No specific date yet, so we have that to watch out for, and we have several activities lined up for you to get a chance to earn points that you can convert into those Puff tokens. All you have to do is to know more about our project at puffverse.pro. Our website, it's puffverse.pro, and search for Puffverse on X, Twitter, Discord, and Telegram. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Great to have you today. Really appreciate you joining. Let's kick it off to FOF Game, one of our partners for the airdrop that we're running today.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
All right. GM, everybody, GM. I see some familiar face here. Hello, my name is Winston, and I'm the CPO of FOF Game. So a little bit about FOF. So FOF is an on-chain strategy RPG game built with PWA. We have account abstraction also. All of this in a pixelated world with a mobile-friendly and frictionless UX. So in this game, you guys can basically build, battle, and conquer the FOF world with your favorite isekai heroes and their humorous AI-generated story to battle against fearsome monsters. So right now we're around like more than 99% done for the game at this stage, and gonna have the test net on 25th July, which is tomorrow. Hell yeah. All right, I'm ready for the space, and thank you, ReneVerse, for having me here.
It is a pleasure to too. By the way. And yeah, Call of the Void.
I just have to jump in and said, your favorite isekai heroes. Does that mean you can play as a truck? Because that's my favorite isekai hero.
I heard some rumors about truck companies suing some animes films over there in Japan, but yeah, really love that. That's basically how we build our heroes right now. I mean, like, I was crazy for the isekai genre, and hell yeah, man.
So do you get hit by a truck at the start of the game? That would be fucking amazing. You just finish your character creation, then you get hit by a truck.
That's a legit suggestions right there. I might put it in our story for the hero. Absolutely, man. That's would be like the cliche startup for the isekai hero, you know.
That is absolutely incredible. Yeah, trucks have the highest kill count in all of anime. That's for sure. So, big ups to you guys. Big congrats. Tomorrow's a big day for you guys. I'm super excited to hear it. I think next on screen for me, I have Dante. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for having me. My name is Dante. I run ecosystem growth at Scale. We are sort of a hybrid layer 1, layer 2 designed specifically for user experience and scalability. So everything on Scale has 0 gas fees of any kind, instant finality, super low latency, and pretty much unlimited horizontal scalability. And so this makes it really, really great for games. It makes it really, really great for sort of consumer-facing applications, as well as infra partners like ReneVerse, who are building in and around those sort of consumer-facing industries. So really, really excited to be here, excited for this conversation, and happy to hear everyone else's thoughts.
Great to have you here, Dante. Love to see scale on our space. That's super exciting. Thanks for being here. I'm going to kick it off to Chev.
Hey guys, just checking whether my mic is working fine.
Sound loud and clear.
It is.
Nice. Hey, so this is Chef, building at AnyChess. So AnyChess is, subsidiary under AnyMocha Brands, and also in partnership with chess.com. So if you guys haven't hopped on any of our spaces or heard of us before, we're actually trying to innovate the classical chess game, whereby bringing in a layer of TCG element and also a spell mechanics on top. So for example, you can now move a piece like a queen for one turn, maybe turn a piece invisible for one turn. So bringing more complexity as well as more fun to the gameplay. Not to mention the different skins and chess pieces and the UI, UX and music, whatnot. It's just elevating the whole chess experience into more like gaming, right? So yeah, super hyped to be here and speaking with and sharing, with all of you guys. Very humbled, but yeah, happy to be invited.
Thank you so much for being here. We're humbled too. It's great to have you on. I'm going to run through the rest of our introductions and then we can get right into it. Next, I have Rami from XP.NETWORK.
Hello everyone, my name is Rami. I'm the marketing lead of XP.NETWORK. XP.NETWORK is a multi-chain NFT bridge. We currently support 30 blockchains, EVM and non-EVM. And thank you for having us.
Great, you on. Thanks for being here. Next, I have Jeremy from Utopia.
Hello guys, thanks for having me. I'm Jeremy, co-founder and COO of Utopia Ecosystem. So we are a MediaFi company with a reward program of 70K real-world assets of your favorite brands like Apple, Carrefour, Starbucks. Basically, we onboard Web2 IP into Web3 world in our ecosystem. So we work with like the biggest IP in the world, like Stormtroopers, like Justin Bieber, the FIFA. We create medias around that. They can be video games, that can be music, TV shows, movies, and then we create financial tools attached to that. So you can like play to earn, listen to earn, watch to earn, and so and so. Our TG is in 2 weeks. The token names is the Ucoin, and basically you will be able to use it in our reward program. And it's a gas fee token too for our crypto exchange, because we will launch a crypto exchange and a crypto wallet.
You guys heard it here first. 2 weeks until TGE. That is huge. Thanks for the intro. Love what you guys are doing there over at Utopia. Fantastic stuff. Would love to see how we can plug into that too. And I have one more intro. Last but certainly not least, we have Madam from Overlay Protocol.
Hi, everyone. GM or GN, I guess, where you are in the metaverse. I am here from Overlay Foundation, and we are a little bit different than everyone here, but I still think in soul we are the same. We are actually an exotic perp DEX, so we are a perpetuals decentralized exchange But we're exotic, so we list really cool things. If you head over to our website now, you'll see that we actually have probably the first CS2 Ghost Skins index that people can trade with crypto. And we're always looking for opportunities to work with blockchain in-game assets. If you guys have a community that want to trade on the various things you guys are playing with, we're really excited about the development of various in-game economies and to see how we can supply liquidity and use different financial instruments to empower all the great things that you guys are doing. So my personal background I entered the space through NFT and gaming. I used to work for a company called Delicium, and they did AAA GameFi for a while, but then they reversed to more infra-layered stuff. Was also working with Tabby for a bit. They were an NFT platform, and now are also gaming infra of a sort. I'm really happy at Overlay here, being able to do things that can still support the games directly through assets and their financialization. So yeah, I'd love to listen and learn from everyone who's working very seriously in this space, and so excited to hear about all these cool projects you guys are working on, building true narratives and pushing ahead for all the usability that we have. Thanks everyone. Talk to you guys later.
Love that. Absolutely amazing. I think that your input and your perspective from the infra side of things would be really, really interesting, especially as it pertains to in-game assets, because I think that's right up our alley, especially for the topic for today. So that's a great segue. Thanks for the intros, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Our topic today is talking about trending in-game economies inside of Web3 gaming that are beyond the typical play to earn. So our first question that I have for everyone is, besides play to earn, what are some of the other economic models that you think are in trend at the moment? And why do you think they are worth attention? So let's see here. I'll go to Dante first.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that this is something that I've talked to a number of you on the space already about, but something that we focus a lot on at Scale is providing Web 2 experiences that are built sort of on the rails of Web 3. So creating experiences that look and feel and interact like Web 2, but are still fundamentally on chain. And this is awesome for user experience, but it also has a really, really big impact on the economy, because what it means is that you can run sort of a Web 2 economy parallel to a Web 3 economy. So when we think of like the bifurcation of economies in a Web 2 versus a Web 3 game, a lot of Web 2 games make a ton of money on more traditional types of economies, like, ads and in-game purchases and things like that. And obviously, a lot of Web 3 games are a lot more focused on, selling NFTs and in-game transactions and things like that. But when you can create experiences that look and feel and interact like Web 3, you can actually take advantage of both sort of paths at once. And I think a lot of the reason that Web3 games traditionally have not taken advantage of this is just because they don't have the user base, because there's not a lot of Web3 users. But when you're able to cultivate that Web2 user base, suddenly you can start, making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars per month off of ads and more traditional types of economies. So we actually work with a lot of consumer-facing applications that have traditionally been Web2, have their own Web2 economies already built out, again, whether that be ads or selling individual, packs or things like that. And then we work with them to sort of add this invisible layer of on-chain economy underneath it, where, now players are able to trade assets back and forth within the actual application itself, and they're able to take a percentage of that. So for us, when we talk about in-game economies in general, it's really about, how can we allow you to take your existing solutions, your existing economies, and expand that into a realm that you would not be able to. And it's not a replacement. You're not replacing one economy for the other, but it's an expansion. It's allowing users to become more engaged, while also giving you guys additional economic revenue and economic opportunities around that.
Absolutely love that. That's fantastic. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, just like you said. And I think that really trying to take advantage of both in a way that's tasteful, in a way that prioritizes the player experience, but also gives them additional upside. Just as you said, that's an incredible path forward. So before I kick it off to Call of the Void, I just wanted to make another introduction to our speaker. Sorry for the issues with the different space links. We have Anthony, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, yeah, sorry for hopping in late. Name's Anthony Francis, or Mr. Dip, co-founder Stay in Houston Group of my business partner Croissant, or Melanie, and we're advisors in the space. We help games and other businesses raise funds. We help them construct and execute their marketing strategies, build their sales force, and continue to scale their business going forward.
Glad to have you on this one. It was great to see you on the AA space as well. Call of the Void, after you.
Well, that was an incredibly sensible take from Scale Protocol, and of course, they are incredibly sensible and good at what they do. And here's my, half-cut take of what is trending at the moment in Web3 game economies is still people will do transactions and you will tax that, and that is how you will make money. And then people are layering that on top of blockchains that do the same thing, and forgetting that a lot of them live in a country that was basically founded because people didn't want to pay tax. So it's really an interesting thing. And I'd like to see more of the stuff that Scale's talking about trending and becoming less of an issue when you talk to people in the space, having actual transactions and taking fiat revenue for stuff in the game. Because I'm a firm believer that if you want adoption, you have to give stuff to people for free so that they can experience it, use it, and find out what the benefit is. And if you're immediately trying to make profit off that, your incentives for giving it to them are all wrong, because you don't really want to give it to them. You want to give it to them and have them sell it, because that's the only way you profit. And if you start designing your game around that, then you can come unstuck very fast, because a lot of players don't want to sell stuff they get. I mean, I completed the entirety of Final Fantasy and I didn't use a single Mega Elixir. That's on Final Fantasy VII, and not many people do. Not many people actually use the Candy Hammer and Candy Crush, because when I was working there, we gave it out so infrequently. To them, it was like, oh, there's millions of levels and only one Candy Hammer. One day I'm going to need it. So I really think that trying to set up your entire economy around trading, and if your game is not specifically about trading, but say it's just an RPG or something, I think you can come unstuck there, because people really only want to trade to make money. In which case they're not players, really. They're participating in the auction house and not really grinding. Or they just want to trade because they see something that they really want. And at that point, you got to make sure it's not out of their price range.
Yeah, 100%. And that sums up really the sort of core issues of like P2E from the old days, is that the financial incentive took precedence. And that's one of the things that distracted people from the true gameplay experience as well. So love that take. I saw Jeremy's hand, and then we'll go to Chef after.
Yeah, before giving what I think, just talking about taxes. At Utopia, we talk a lot with governments about regulation, because that's part of what we do. Because the final mission is we create a crypto wallet for kids. Just insight informations. A lot of governments, they are working on taxes around Web3 projects, and I can let you know that a lot of big projects in the ecosystem, they will die soon because of that, because they don't pay taxes. So that's a real issue, but they think that it's okay, but it's not. That was the first thing. Concerning the play to earn, for me, it's more play to take control again. As I told you, for example, maybe I will find another way, but right now, the only way that we found at Utopia to try to find a way to protect internet for kids, it's the crypto wallet. So obviously there is a lot of issues around KYC, around regulation and stuff like that. But that's the only way to do that right now. So play to earn, what is nice is if you attach token, if you attach wallets, you can really, in terms of company, if you want, you can really protect your users. And the users can also take control back. Let me give you an example, fake example, obviously. If I want to create a TV show, let's say like Star Wars TV show, if I have the IP, I don't. And if I say to fans, okay, we'll create a TV show, we'll create digital asset like, I don't know, a token. And if the show is shitty, the token will just dump, and that's it, the project died. So everyone take control of the project. But right now, that's not what is happening. Like Disney can do whatever they want. They can do shitty projects, and you pay your subscription on Disney Plus, and you are fucked, basically. That's what I think.
Definitely an interesting take. I love to hear a lot of the stuff from the government and regulation side. Very, very interesting. Chev, after you.
Thank you. I think in terms of this trending in-game economies, I think definitely these days most of the projects are doing play to airdrop. So in terms of the topic, this is a trend, but not necessarily every project is kind of nailing it. Like some, I think if not most of the projects, we see people getting the airdrop and then just dump it, right, for profit. And I don't think this is how a sustainable game economy can work in the long term. If your player base is just farming from one project to another, right? So basically, project hopping and airdrop hunting. So I think at Animoca Brands or at AnyChess, what we firmly believe in is basically two things, right? One is the game has to be fun, which is always the most fundamental principle. And I kind of just thought of it myself just now, which is probably the right term should be play for fun and earn. Like this kind of model where play to earn, I think it's somewhat intrinsically a bit flawed. When a player really just play to earn, you basically mean the player play the game just for the money. That's not going to make it, right? Because if the player doesn't really enjoy in the game, doesn't really love the game and love the friends that they make in the game, for example, they won't be sustainable, and any kind of economy would not be sustainable. I think that's first point. Second point is when you do airdrop, make sure you airdrop to the ones that truly adding value to your network. A very basic example is Instagram, right? Imagine Instagram is like a Web3 business, and those guys who create a lot of content, have a lot of followers, basically they should be rewarded the most, right? Because they are the source of the network. They have like millions and millions of followers. They generate a lot of content, which thereby bringing more and more people to the network and thereby contributing to the market cap of Instagram, right? And same for a game, right? If we don't design the airdrop in your content creators, your true OGs in the community, your loyal grinders who keep grinding your game, I think this one just needs to be a bit more careful, right? I've been seeing, some projects, might not be very careful, and ultimately you don't want your tokens to be dropped to the hunters, which just, revolve around projects and farming the airdrop. So I think, that's my 2 cents. One is, play for fun to earn. Two, it's the careful designing and planning of the airdrop to the ones that truly contribute to the network.
Definitely a lot of wisdom there. Very, very good tips, especially the second one. And it's a challenge for sure. There's no necessarily right or wrong playbook, but there's a lot of pitfalls to be aware of when it comes to planning an airdrop. So really good points there. I think we have FOF, then we have Anthony, and then Call of the Void, then Myth.
Oh yeah, I totally love what Jeff has mentioned over there about regarding the play to airdrop and the value. The value of recognizing your community as well. So yeah, talking about like play to airdrop, we definitely seen like a surge in these models nowadays. So it's a fantastic way to reward the players for the time and effort. Yeah, I'm actually looking on the bright side of this model as well. So you can see especially in Telegram gaming, you can see games like Notcoin, Catizen or Hamster Combat, which exploded in the popularity with its simple yet addictive tap to airdrop mechanics. And definitely, they definitely have shown how effective this model can be in driving user acquisitions and engagement in the community, right? So yeah, that is actually what we are trying to do in our game, FOF. it's also committed to the player value as well. Or else this would be like a wrong model, like Jeff has mentioned before. So in our upcoming testnet, it's a great opportunity for any alphas who want to join the play to airdrop models, and we value the early supporter and coming into our game and basically like putting effort into our games.
Absolutely. Love that you brought up, Telegram games, not coin and stuff like that. Definitely in trend. I'd love to revisit that a little bit later, maybe talk about some of the play devil's advocate a little bit and see sort of what the pros and the cons might be there. Anthony?
Well, I want to preface first by saying I came in a little late, so I didn't hear the original question, and I didn't hear some of the conversational points that were made after the initial question, but I'm going to dive into it anyway, and hopefully I don't sound like I'm out in left field. This is a topic that we're handling a lot with clients and prospective clients that are reaching out to us. And some points I'd like to highlight. One, I mean, obviously open economies are not new conceptually, but in practical execution, they're relatively new, I would say, in terms of becoming mainstream. And that's something to consider. Your game economy in Web3 is no longer a closed off game economy. Now you have more than just one product. Your game is a product, yes, absolutely. But so are the assets that the users are owning. So are the tokens that they're trading. And if you look at your product lines from that approach, it really adds a level of complexity in terms of how you're going to plan out your game economy. You really only get one shot. And not only do you have to plan out the game economy and construct it in both a creative fashion, but a sustainable fashion, you have to do the same with the token, because that token is a product. And there will be people that are interested in that token, not for the game. Of course, we want to build high quality games, but we have to understand the implications that come with a token that can exist outside of the game, particularly with market makers, day traders, and everything else that comes along with these financial instruments. And in doing so, it's very important to understand emissions, particularly when we're talking about airdrop campaigns, because that has been a topic that's come up. When you're talking about airdrop campaigns, we've seen some big ones that drop massive amounts of supply right at the front on TGE or shortly thereafter. And if you're not thinking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, your ecosystem can vastly suffer if you don't have the appropriate emission schedule and you're not planning that all out. And I myself, I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a statistical analyst. We do have someone in-house at Sydney User Group that works with us to facilitate that. But that's something that's highly recommended. You need your savant. You need your quant. You need someone who understands the numbers, because something that could be great today, 6 months from now, could be devastating to your business, and in turn, devastating to your community, your investors, and everybody associated with the brand.
Yeah, such a good take. Like you said, speculation, right, as a factor that is something that people don't consider enough when they're building a game, and then balancing that with gameplay elements. It's crazy how many projects gloss over this. Sometimes it can be one of those things that are like the nitty-gritty details that people don't want to get into. So really good take there. Call of the Void.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you hear people from the hardcore Web3 side of it talk about these things, because these are a lot of the big issues that games come into when they run these huge one-off only airdrops at the start of the project. And then, not only that, but they've probably paid a load of KOLs in coins, and they've obviously paid a bunch to CEXs that will trade against them even before the coin's live. So they're basically setting up an incredible amount of sell pressure. And I think one of the things that we really have to look at is we have to look at the actual in-game economy, right? There are some things that you can do, and I'm surprised more projects don't do this. For example, in our project, the only token emissions past TGE will be from tokens that are spent in the game. Like only the tokens that are spent in the game are actually awarded to prize pools. So in that way, it keeps it relatively simple. And then we take revenue from in-apps and ads, which we will use to market make the token and buy back if we believe the token price is unfairly low. The other thing is, when your token price is extremely high, what is it that games don't do? Well, they keep the token price the same, and then they let the dollar price change wildly, which is absolutely terrible for fixed income players who only want to spend a certain amount, or if they load phones at the start of the month with a certain amount of credit. This is absolutely terrible, because one day they could be leveling up and it's 3 cents, the next day it's $30. So what we need to do is we need to actually start changing the amount of tokens we emit inside the game or charging in the game to sensible dollar values, because there's $1 billion industry in, say, mobile phone games on pricing and monetization and working out how much you can charge for various things. And I think if we let the token value fluctuate wildly inside of games, it's going to undo us eventually. And also, I mean, games do sometimes get a second shot. If you're looking at good games, say Brawl Stars was in soft launch for 2 years before it recovered. But if you have a Web3 game and, um, as Anthony was rightly pointing out, you shoot your load right at the start and you've got nothing aside from your initial treasury to essentially develop the game, then you're going to have a really bad time. And I think a lot of games need to focus on making economies where people really want the token, need the token. They're not looking to just sell it. They're looking to basically invest the token, bring in that token, and they should be incredibly hungry for it because the benefits it gives them in the game are so vast, and the things they earn out of it are different from the token. It's not just more token back to them. It's like cool NFTs or really powerful things or status or skins or all of the things the gamers like to do. Or, for example, leveling up accounts and selling accounts. Gamers love to do that, and we're trying to fight it already with soulbound tokens, which I just think is bizarre. We can support this. We can do a lot of things to help gamers do what they want and to make sure it's fair on them. And I think it's unfair on gamers to have a fixed token price in your game that wildly changes the sort of the dollar value that they'd be paying.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Token gating is such a crazy, common, I guess, occurrence that really shouldn't be there. And seeing a lot of games sort of move towards setting a dollar price value is something that's really, really great to see. So next we have Myth and Dante.
I should know by now at this stage never to follow fucking Matt. Seriously, it's like he always covers half of the shit what I'm about to say. But I'm going to come at this from a kind of an old man shouting at the clouds type way. I think a lot of the discussion so far, which has been very good and very valid, if the topic of today's space was trending business models in Web3 gaming, then yeah, I think the discussion is relevant. You know, I want to come at it from the viewpoint of what the topic actually says. It's like, if you go at the in-game economies, essentially, you know, the way I look at it is an in-game economy is buying and selling. That's what economics essentially is, supply and demand. So it is. And I think, you know, what's trending in that, I honestly really couldn't tell you. I mean, buying and selling is as old as time itself, really. You know, and I think, you know, this brings us then into more or less agreeing with what Matt has said so far. You know, it's like we need to be creative in terms of what people can buy and sell. You know, so that's the big advantage of Web3 is that they own assets, they can win assets from playing a game, and then naturally the ethos behind the whole thing is to be able to buy and sell that, to see fit to enhance your gaming experience or to make a bit of money or whatever. How that goes, the traditional idea is just, assets and stuff. Matt mentioned it briefly. Again, you know, is how can you do it? So it's like there's XP, you know, that's then a way about a kind of a play to win aspect where somebody grinds all the XP and somebody comes in and buys it and it's so high up the leaderboard. But it's also kind of crucial. It's little things like that we need to focus. Even if it comes from switching into a slightly different, not in-game economy, but in a kind of the gamification economy, whereas people are now gamifying shit such as trading, NFT marketplace trading, social fi trading, anything like that. You know, those can become kind of economies in themselves, again, down to the point of buying and selling. So where it goes, I'm not so sure as yet. There's plenty of things, but I think if we focus on the fact that essentially that's what economics is the buying and selling of something, then I think we're on to a winner.
I think I heard most of what you said. It was a little bit muffled on your end. I'm not sure if you're in on the road or something like that. But
no,
right.
No, I have a cooling fan probably blowing on me. That was probably it.
I hear you. Gotta stay cool, man. Yeah, I love the take. Buying and selling, like you said, it's just not about focusing on all these, like all the bells and whistles. Sometimes it's really just focusing on the internals and the assets that the gamers are really paying attention to. So love that. Thank you. I have Dante and then Madam, and then I think Jeremy had his hand up, but it's down now. So we'll go to Anthony after that.
Awesome. I think that there's one sort of in-game economic principle or trend that we haven't talked about yet that we're really overlooking. I don't know about you guys, but I talk to games, Web3 games specifically, all day, every day. And as people are starting to wake up to sort of the user experience needs, one thing that I've been seeing frequently that I think is absolutely disastrous is that a lot of games are trying to cover gas fees for their users, right? They're like, okay, we recognize that Web2 users don't want to come in with tokens. They don't want to have to pay gas fees. We want to make this experience as seamless as possible. And so they themselves, as the game developers, are covering those gas fees. And I could not be more like distraught and against this, because I think it's such a short-term focus. Like when we think about, the mass adoption of the industry, you guys as game developers are going and trying to get, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users. And so if we just do some basic math, you'll see that like a lot of the times when games pay gas fees for their users, it's going to spell out their own bankruptcy, right? For example, we have games on scale that are doing hundreds of thousands of transactions per day. And I know, ReneVerse, we've talked about this extensively. I've talked about this with a lot of you guys on this space. But if we just do some simple math, right? Let's assume, just for the sake of easy math, that people are doing 100,000 transactions per day. And if gas fees are 1 cent, and sometimes they're higher and sometimes they're lower and they can fluctuate, you're paying about, $1,000 a day for your users just in gas fees, which is $30,000 a month and $365,000 per year in totally and completely unnecessary expenses. And I understand the inclination. I understand the urge to pay gas fees for users, because I actually understand it. I think that no users should ever have to pay gas fees. And I think that, in order to onboard Web2 users, they cannot come in with any tokens and they should be able to interact with the chain. It's part of the reason why we built Scale. But if you are trying to subsidize gas for your users, it will end poorly, because very, very quickly you can go from paying, $10 a day to paying $1,000 per day and having to pay, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars per year. Another common thing that I've seen just from an economic perspective is a lot of chains will try to subsidize this, and the chains will say, oh, we'll give you $100,000 in gas subsidy, or we'll give you $1 million in gas subsidy. But the issue with these is that they lack any type of sustainability, right? Gas being a variable transaction rate from an economic perspective fluctuates. The more users that you add, the more expensive that gas becomes. And so if you are planning on, having 8 months worth of gas runway, and now suddenly gas spikes up because a DeFi application went crazy on the chain, and now you have 3 months of runway, the question is, what are you going to do after you run out of that subsidy? Are you going to have to pay gas fees for your users and now suddenly have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars per year? Again, like very, very on board with the user experience side of this. But from an economic perspective, as people are thinking about launching their tokens and building the user experience out with their economy, it is absolutely critical that you cannot, cover gas fees for your users. You need to either A, choose a gasless chain, or B, understand that by not choosing a gasless chain, you need to allow your users to pay those gas fees. Otherwise, you're going to incur completely, egregious types of expenses.
That's a super good point. Absolutely. And I think to follow up on your point, if covering gas for your players is the sort of centerpiece of your user acquisition strategy, right, then there's probably a lot of other things that you need to rethink. So really good take there. Love that. I have Madam next, and then Anthony and Jeremy.
Wow, guys, this hour just flew by. I was so engrossed with all the things that you guys were talking about that I was like, oh, cool, I'll just wait until there's like a lull in conversation before I like try to speak up. And I realized if I don't put my hand up, there's going to be no chance to before this hour ends, because everybody's just contributing so many cool insights. There were so many things that previous speakers have said that I echo with a lot. Specifically, someone had said that like, building games are hard. Building Web3 games are like harder than hard, like beyond just your gameplay and like your normal, design, your narrative and everything. But there's assets like in the form of NFTs and everything. And then on top of that, if you wanted to introduce like an in-game token system, that's like a whole other game on top of a game. I really, really resonate with that. I think, when you're looking at games, you really have to be very careful about where are all your sinks and faucets. A lot of companies that I've talked to maybe only think of their NFTs as their assets instead of thinking about their token, or maybe they're just overly focused on their token and forget about the in-game assets that they have exposure to. And then I also want to echo what Myth was saying in that like there is a slight difference between in-game business models and all the creative ways I think everyone in this space right now is trying to solve that versus like in-game economies. And I think my take that I want to contribute and what Overlay can bring to this conversation is that I think creativity takes discipline. So we've seen, especially I feel all of us in the last actual NFT GameFi boom last cycle can remember, there were just like all sorts of different type of game economies. And I think we should draw a line in the sand and be like clear to ourselves first. Is like, is my game like, should it actually monetize in the way that I think it should monetize right now? Maybe just like turn-based games can be on chain. Maybe it doesn't make sense for MMORPG games to be fully on chain. If all of you guys remember that discussion there, it's like I feel like we need to take a hard look at ourselves and first differentiate. Like, what is so special about Web3 gaming? Like, what makes us like different than like normal gaming, if there is a difference? And I feel like that kind of space is where a lot of our revelations about this new type of experiment that we're all vastly bravely like conquering into is going to reveal itself. I've always found there is this kind of awkward pressure to monetize on top of Web3 companies because Web3 itself is so monetizable that, like, regardless of whether the type of game you're doing or the ideology of the real gameplay you want to bring in front of users, you're like, a lot of founders are like feel pressure to monetize immediately just because they're like a crypto game. And what I think is that maybe instead of just focusing on the monetization component, we can come back to our roots and remember that a lot of Web3 gaming was originally about ownership. And it's about the fact that I want to own my skins and I want to own my like assets and I want to own the things that I've spent so many hours grinding on my like beautifully decorated like keyboard and multiple screens. I want to own the things that I now bind my identity and my life with. And that was a lot of what Web3 and crypto and blockchain was intended to be. It's because we feel this that we made the markets that we did. On our markets, your users don't have to sell any of the assets they hold. They don't have to sell their skins, but they can still trade on them. They can still be exposed to prices. They can still be involved with the Web3 carousel without having to sell their bags. And that was one of the really cool things that we wanted to bring into the ecosystem because we realized a lot of founders were kind of stuck between this like tough spot where they're like, oh, you're going to have to, sell it if you want to make some money from what you're doing. But then again, it's like, I want to own this and this is what I contribute all my hours and identity to. So how do we do that? Back to everyone else. Those are my 2 cents. You guys are all great. This is such an awesome space. I didn't know that like spaces with so many cool people speaking up would just like so fly by. Guys, we have like 5 minutes left.
Thank you so much. And yes, I agree. Thank you to all the other speakers who are here for making this conversation so amazing. I'm looking at my notes. We got through one question. I planned like 7 other questions, 8 other questions. We got one question in, which was the topic of the space. So
dude, have you ever done a space where there's been 7 questions on it in an hour?
See, this is for people who don't know, this is only ReneVerse's second space ever. So I was like doing my homework, 30 minutes before the space. I was like, oh my God, what questions am I going to ask? Oh my God. But you guys freaking rocked it. So thank you so much. And Madam, I love what you said about ownership, like coming back to our roots and thinking about that as being sort of like one of the core pillars of what Web3 gaming was in the beginning. And I do want to expand on that. I think that yes, monetization has sort of maybe taken over in so many ways, but I do also think that there are opportunities for new kinds of in-game ownership. And one of those things that I want to draw an example from what we do is we're thinking of for the games that integrate our technology here at ReneVerse, enabling players to own specific ad spaces that the game developers place within their game, so then they are able to monetize on literally the in-game real estate that's there, and it doesn't have to impede anyone's sort of in-game gameplay experience, nor does it have to really interfere with the rest of either the token economy or the asset economy that exists within that game. So love your take. We got 3 minutes left, but I'm just gonna roll through. If you guys can share the stage, would love it. We have Jeremy, Anthony, and Puff first in that order, but you guys are welcome to just rattle it off.
I guess I'll hop in. Jeremy, did you want to go first? You're
Yeah,
mentioned first.
sorry. No, what I would like to say is that before selling like assets, before talking about gas fee, the main problem in Web3 gaming and Web3, like just Web3 ecosystem is token economy. That's the main problem for me. Most of the company that I know, they have very, very, very bad token economy. So usually what happens, like Web3 journey, so they do a bad token economy, okay? They try to raise. VCs, they love bad tokenomics. They love that. So if you talk to a VC and he said yes in the first seconds, you should ask questions around your tokenomics. So they love bad tokenomics. They invest. Then usually you list on a tier 3 DEX. You pay like 10K, something like that for the listing. They take 10K, 20K on token for marketing, but it's not really marketing. And when you do the TG, two options. You have a pump and dump because you didn't put the good vesting period for your investors. Or your market maker or your VC calls you and say, hey, I can sell everything and I can kill your company. Now I want equity and I don't want to pay a lot. And users, they are not happy because they lost money. So your company is basically dead, and then you struggle for years, and usually you don't make it. Sorry. But that's what I see.
Do you have the market makers that do this? Like, we need a blacklist of that's publicly available. Please DM me if you know them.
Market maker? Oh, bro, like, I think I have the best market maker on the market. The wrong one, like, honestly, I will not put names, but
yeah, but please DM because I don't know.
No, but bro, like if you launch a token on a DEX and you have a market maker, like, and if you put on the contract that it will do X, like, X on your token, that's totally illegal. So you should ask question. I talked like few weeks ago. I'm based in Dubai and I was in an event and I met like a very huge market maker that I don't like, but I never met them. I talked to the guy and he proposed to me a contract and he would like to put on the contract how many X he would do for me. And I told him, no, you can't do that because it's illegal. And it wasn't like, it was okay for him. So yeah, very weird economy. Just to say that I think the first thing, even if it's not fun, the first thing that we should do is tokenomics. That's the most important thing before anything, because bad tokenomics kill your project. And you can have the best project in the world. If you have a bad economics, the project will die. That's what I think.
100%. Got to air out your dirty laundry first,
Yeah.
Got to do the right things. Thank you for that. We have, we're a little over, but if you guys don't mind,